Not a bad start. Not a bad start. But I have to say, everybody, aside from that 3 or 4 seconds, it's been the perfect evening. Leeds United, dominant. Leeds United, superb. And I have to say, for me, performance of the season. Performance of the season. And let me explain exactly why. I think to a man, the standard was so good. And let me also say, this is a Luton side who have just been demoted from the Premier League, who gave it a really good crack in the Premier League. I don't care what the form was. Coming into this game, a Rob Edwards side who were promoted from the Championship, doing exactly what Rob Edwards sets his side out to do, be difficult to beat. I understand the season hasn't taken that course, but coming to Leeds United, teams get an extra 5-10%. We know that it's the biggest away game for any team in the division every single season. It's a very, very tough game. Everybody looks at Leeds away and thinks, it's a tough one, that they have to raise their levels. But with that, Leeds United also have to raise their levels. And by God, did Leeds United do that. Sheffield United, when we beat them 2-0, at Coventry, when we beat them 3-0, I think Leeds were purring. But tonight, what we saw is every single player, in my opinion, have a top game, a nigh on top game. Probably the only one, if I'm being completely picky, is Brendan Aronson. But Brendan Aronson created big chances. Brendan Aronson was having shots on goal, but it is just that technical ability in front of goal that I think will always haunt Aronson in terms of consistency. But from 1 to 11, even when Ilan Mele was brought into, that point of which at the end of the game where he had to come out very quickly to smother Adebayo, I didn't see him. He was like the Flash. He was so quick. He turned from the French hologram to the clearest thing of all time. He was out. He was quick. He was at Adebayo's feet and he smothered the ball, and Leeds were able to do okay from it. I thought Mele's distribution was very good out tonight. He was varying it. And I thought there was a couple in the first half of which were through to Peru, of which if Peru was a little bit quicker, a little bit more incisive, Peru's in on goal from that distribution. So well done, Ilan Mele, tonight. What I want to do as well is say well done to Daniel Farke. And I'm going to sort of simultaneously give a real handout as well to Sam Byram, who I thought when he was on the pitch, he was Leeds United's best player. Most shots, I think most passes completed for a portion of the game as well. Playing in an unnatural position of which I've criticised him before, using that left foot. But what I have to say is Daniel Farke made an interesting switch here. He moved Sam Byram when Leeds were in possession into that midfield space, and not only into that midfield space, into that attacking midfield space. So anytime Leeds were building up in possession, Sam Byram would move into that midfield. We would overcrowd Luton in that space, of which he probably knew before the game, Daniel Farke, that they were going to pack out that midfield and pack out that defence and become compact like Burnley did with quality. So Daniel Farke enacted to essentially in possession build-up, put Sam Byram into that midfield spot and almost that attacking midfield spot. Byram was getting forward consistently. He was that free roaming option, and that was a Daniel Farke tactical manipulation. And I think it was superb. I have to clap it. I thought it really, really worked, because at that point on that right-hand side as well, Luton, whatever you might say about them, the quality and the calibre of that side, look what they brought off the bench in terms of Adebayo, in terms of Chong at this level, are very, very decent options, amongst others, in Baptiste as well. Premier League experience there. Bringing that sort of stuff off the bench, you kind of know the team's quality. I don't care what form they've been in. And bearing in mind, they're going to increase their percentages by 5-10% coming to Ellen Road, the home of Leeds United, the home of league leaders. The pressure on them is a lot less than what it is on Leeds United. So on that left-hand side in build-up, there's a vulnerability for Luton to win the ball, transition and counter-attack. But Daniel Farke was brave tonight. He was brave. Pascal Struijk then took control of the centre-back and the left-back option while Sam Byram marauded into that attacking third, and it worked an absolute treat. And Daniel Farke got it spot on. Sam Byram, I have to give him credit tonight. I have to give him credit. I think tonight's performance from Sam Byram was the best performance Sam Byram has had in a Leeds United shirt since he's been back. I thought he was tenacious. I thought he was aggressive when it came to defending. I thought it was almost symptomatic when in the second half he pretty much shoulder barged Clark into Rose Ed. And that was in the attacking zone of the pitch as well. He was top quality tonight, Sam Byram. And I think any team in the Championship would have looked at Sam tonight and said, what a player. We wish we had him as second, third choice to Junior Firpo. Look, he was so good tonight. I thought his finish was Di Canio-esque. It was fantastic. His left-footed shot, look, it wasn't great, was it? Kind of scuffed it. And we all talk about Sam Byram's left foot. We do on this channel anyway. but then he scissor kick volleyed it into the bottom corner, and that's your depth, by the way, everybody. That's your second, third spot depth. And I've been very critical of Sam Byram when it's come to that usage of his left foot, but overall tonight, it's a very. What I will say is I'm going to pull back a little bit on him because we have to be honest here, and I'm man enough to do this. It can't be perfection. And football isn't perfection unless you've been Man City for 4 years, but that's not happened right now. But it can't be perfection. And Sam Byram is more than enough cover. And I'm going to take a little bit of Connie, you should have done better there at some points. I don't think he's been good enough, but should he be good enough? Should he be good enough at those stages? Should he be able to run at breakneck speed and deliver a really good ball in his left foot? I think that's maybe a bit harsh from myself. So I'm going to apologise for that. And Sam put in a top performance tonight, a really top performance in. Pascal Struijk was at the top of the charts when it comes, again, to passing out from the back. I thought he was very good. Joe Rodon, what I liked about his play tonight is we've seen a lot with Joe that he has that handbrake on a lot and he goes straight back to Illan Meslier. What I liked about him tonight he was trying to find Jayden Bogle, and he was trying to find those midfield pockets as well. Risk is reward, and when you've got the players in the midfield that we have, in terms of the players that can turn on a dime, open the body up, and really be effective in terms of finding that front man quite effectively and quite quickly. Joe Rodon is if he's able to make that pass into midfield, it's going to be very, very good situation. It's going to be a very good situation for Leeds United because of the quality that we have in that midfield space. I want to talk about someone else as well on that left-hand side. I want to talk about Manor Solomon. For me, best game so far in a Leeds shirt. I thought it was his best game in a Leeds shirt at the weekend, albeit I thought he faded a little bit. And the standard wasn't that high, in my opinion. I've not been that convinced with Manor Solomon tonight. I'm going to use that word again, tenacious. I thought he was aggressive when he was defending. And what I saw tonight, one of my biggest celebrations tonight was when Manor Solomon took on his man on the left-hand side because he was inverting. But similarly to Hull City, when he went on that left-hand side and got the assist from Matteo Joseph, he literally fronted the defender up and he took him on his left-hand side, had that 5 to 7 yard of agility. Put a lovely fizzed ball in, a fantastic fizz ball, and it was excellent defending because it was landed on Joel Peru's boot and going in the back of the net. It was excellent winger play, and he varied it up a little bit more tonight, which I was really, really impressed because he can do it. I think it's almost a confidence thing with Manor Solomon, and we do have a lot of confidence-based players, but he's got to know that in this division, he's got the beating of pretty much anyone. If he decides to go 5 to 7 yards on that left-hand side, the beauty of what he did as well, they're all expecting him to go inside now. They're showing him inside. So as soon as he goes on that left side, they don't expect it. And then suddenly the defender's thinking, oh, God, what's he going to do next time? And you put that little bit of thought into a defender. You put that little bit of question into a defender. Suddenly the game opens up for you and they give you a little bit more room. They maybe stand 2 yards off as opposed to 1 yard off and showing you inside. Listen, I thought Solomon was excellent tonight. And I actually thought to myself, well, is it another Daniel Farke tick box? Of which, before tonight, I've criticised him. I think my major criticism with Daniel Farke is pursuing with Illan Meslier. I thought it was one of Melier's better performances tonight, even though he didn't have a lot to do. The one criticism for him tonight maybe would have been the Victor Moses chance, which was cleared off the line by Pascal Struijk. I thought he should have made himself bigger. He went down too quickly again. And he has a tendency to do that and makes it easy for the attacker to dink it over him. He's done that a lot this season. My main criticism with Daniel Farke has been the fact he just sticks with him consistently and calls him the best keeper in the division, and maybe that's a little bit naive. However, I think he's good enough to get us out of this division. And the reason I'm saying he's good enough to get us out of this division is because the 10 in front of him are so good and the options are so good. We can pulverize teams before they get close to our goals if we want to do. If we want to do. But Solomon, as I mentioned, was really good. We have to look at Sam Byram was being activated consistently. It was almost like a stimulus and response by Joe Rothwell. Joe was an unsung hero tonight. Every time he gets the ball, in the future, what I want you all to do is watch when he gets the ball and watch when he looks up. So we'll get the ball on the back foot. Scholes used to do this a hell of a lot for Scum. Gets the ball on his front foot, and you'd see it with Scholes. You'd then get Cole, York, you'd get all the Scummers bombing forward, and it was an activation. Anytime Joe Rothwell got the ball, it was an activation. You saw Byram trying to maraud forward, getting between the centre-back and the left-back, or the centre-back and the right-back. Byram was everywhere in that first half in that free roll, but you'd also see Solomon doing it. You'd also see Peru suddenly just take a yard off the centre-back and looked to just peel off because he knew what was going to happen. He knew that ball was going to be spun across the top by Joe Rothwell. It was going to be accurate, and it was either going to land at Peru, who would just sort of sit in front of the defense because he thought maybe the defender had nod it and he'd be able to pick up on that second ball. But you just get like the white arrows going forward, and it was an activation anytime Rothwell got the ball. And I found that really, really interesting. And it felt like a little bit of a tactical imprint from Daniel Farke. Anytime Rothwell gets the ball, Byram, it's almost like a trigger for him to go. And the reason that is because Joe Rothwell is so efficient on the ball. He's so accurate. He's so composed. And I thought he was back to the Joe Rothwell of driving through the defense today and getting toward the opposition defense in the midfield and driving through the heart and trying to create space as well for the offensive players. I thought he was superb, and he will be an unsung hero tonight because of this man. Merch in the description below, by the way. But yeah, it's getting a bit silly now, isn't it? It's getting a bit silly. I mean, if we just have a quick look at FootMob, which I'm sure is going to tell me some insane statistics about this game. Let's have a quick look at this one. Leeds United dominating absolutely everything when it comes to the statistics. Tanaka was successful passes, 114, just behind Pascal Struijk. Tanaka's touches, he was on 135, which is, yeah, I mean, look, let's get on him. Let's start gushing about him. The boy is a joke. The boy is outrageous. His balance, his decision-making, his football brain. This is what you guys used to go on about, you know, when I used to go on about the football brain, and you'd see it in certain players, and the engine and the IQ of a football team is in that central midfield spot. I'm so happy he's in that central midfield spot and he's not a right back, or he's not some sort of like a position of which isn't as important as a central midfielder. He dictates, he can slow the game down. The tempo is orchestrated by that little Japanese magician. He is so good. He is so good. And I think his value right now is 15, 20 million already. Genuinely brought him in for 3.4 mil. He's worth 20 million already, about 15 to 20 million. He's that good. He's too good for this level. I cannot believe there was ever a circumstance in which he will be playing Bundesliga 2 level. But yeah, I think that probably the only discrepancy tonight would have been Brendan. Although, you know, you look at the stats, everybody. I'm just going to have a quick look at the stats for you. And Brendan isn't far off some of the top successful dribbles too. Which is the top in the Leeds team. Chances created 3, which is, you would look at it and think, well, it's been a good game for Brendan. I thought it was probably quite symptomatic of Brendan that first half, of which he got himself in an excellent position in the box. He just had to fire the ball in the bottom corner, have a strike on goal, but he tries to side foot the ball to Willy Gnonto, who's been covered by a defender and isn't on, and I don't think Willy would have expected it anyway. Just those decisions of which separate the top central attacking midfielders, which is what he is now, to maybe the middlemen. I just don't think he separated himself as much yet. Not being too harsh on him. I think he had a good game tonight, but I want Brendan Aronson to convince me to, as a fan, not want a central attacking midfielder in January. I want Brendan Aronson in the next month or the next 5 weeks to put in 5 or 6 performances over the Christmas period, being dependable and reliable, staying fit on the pitch, of course. But if he's able to put in performances in that role which show a real technical capability, of which I'm going to see a long-term future with Brendan Aronson as my central attacking midfielder, I'll turn around and say, well, we don't need one, because he's showing it consistently. He's showing a level. My problem is with Brendan Aronson is it's the inconsistency for me. The inconsistency and the lack of technical ability that I've seen against some of the top central attacking midfielders at this level, of which I think right now I look greedy, because if you bring someone like, you know, who we've been speaking about on the other shows, which you can look at, maybe a Fabio Carvalho, that level is just going to be uncontrollable, you know, of which you saw him for whole last season when he was one of the best players in the division in the second half of the season. If someone came in like him, would that elevate Leeds' level even more? The beautiful thing is, you know, you've got Solomon now, who's created 4 chances in this game, who is a rotation player. I thought Joel Peru was very good tonight. Someone who we have to speak about, and I'm so happy that he's proven so many people wrong, is Jayden Bogle. This absolute poppycock of him being a poor signing this season. Sheffield United, ha, ha, ha. I will never be convinced in a month of Sundays that Alfie Gilchrist and Jamie Shackleton are better right backs than Jayden Bogle. You have completely lost out on Jayden Bogle. Bogle is so good. He's the best right back in the division. From what I've seen, I watch a lot of Championship football. We will be watching Sunderland vs Sheffield United on Friday night as well. And a watch along, everybody, if you fancy that, before the Saturday watch along with Blackburn. But I watch a lot of Championship football. There's no one as good as him. He can do everything. And this whole absolute rubbish that he can't defend is some narrative that Sheffield United fans have stirred up from the Premier League, of which it's probably quite hard to defend when your team is absolutely crap, yet you are one of the top 3, top 2 performers in that division. Your manager was upset. Your fan base was upset when you let him go, but when you knew he was coming to Leeds United, suddenly he can't defend and he's crap and he's not worth it. Jayden Bogle, aside maybe from the Portsmouth game, of which he got an assist and should have got a couple of assists in that game, he has been so good. From West Brom onwards, from Sheffield Wednesday onwards, he's been fantastic. And I want to give him his flowers tonight because I don't think he gets enough. You know, the flowers that Luke Ayling used to get at Leeds United with certain performances, even when he was dwindling at Ellen Road, the flowers for me are not matched for Jayden Bogle, who puts in levels up performances to what Luke Ayling was doing at Leeds United toward the back end. Still, you were hearing fans at the beginning of the season saying, oh, yeah, some fans wanted to see Luke Ayling go. He's not on Jayden Bogle's level. He's just not. I don't care what's happening at Borough. I feel like that's the sustenance of the overall team and Carrick and the unit there. Jayden Bogle as an individual football player is superb. The ball weighted over for Dan James's goal is that of a central midfielder. The weight of pass a lot of the time with Jayden Bogle is very, very good. And imagine him, Jayden Bogle, Wilfried Nonso, and then you've got Junior Firpo and Largy Ramazani on the other side. When Ramazani came on, the little shoulder rolls where the central midfielders were like, what on earth was that? Shoulder rolls through the defender's legs, trying to take them all on, direct consistently. He's a nightmare. Low center of gravity. Quick. The acceleration, the skill, the football head on him. I'm so happy he's back. He came on for 7 minutes and it was as if he's been on for 17 minutes. He was excellent when he came on. And I thought, here we go. He looks fit and he looks raring to go and terrorize that Championship as he was doing when he had 6 games, got 3 goals, and 1 or 2 assists, I think it was. But yeah, exceptional performance all round from Leeds United. Joel Peru, I thought it was one of his better performances. I thought actually when the ball was coming up to him, he was backing into McGuinness very, very well. There was a big bunch back there. You know, you look at Mengi, you look at Bell, you look at McGuinness, a big bunch back there. Burke was playing, what was he playing? Right back. It was a big bunch today. And the reason it was a big bunch because they wanted it to be compact and they wanted to hurt Leeds on set pieces. That's what they wanted to do. That was the game plan. It was to stay compact. It was to mirror Burnley. We've got the quality, arguably, that Burnley have. And we want to sit in, we want to be compact. And that's the elevation of Leeds' game. We didn't have our full strength side out this evening. And I'm not going to include Ampadu and Gruev in that, but I am going to include Firpo and I am going to include Ramazani in that. You've got Byram and you've got Solomon, of which maybe 3 or 4 games ago, you've looked at that against the Luton side with the quality that they have at their disposal, barring Alfie Doherty tonight. And your toes would have probably curled a little bit because you'd have thought, I'm not sure about that. No left foots out there. And it's going to be constantly inversion and maybe a lower quality level. Well, we've got Firpo coming back in the next game. Ramazani's back. Solomon's producing a level tonight, which we've not seen from him so far this season, which we've all been calling for. Very good. Very good tonight. Really impressed. 4 big chances created as well. Shout out to him. I thought his levels were very good tonight. And that's what we want to see from a 60 grand a week player, 50, 60 grand a week player on loan from Spurs who was signed to be that difference maker. That's what we need to see. And I want there to be competition with Solomon and Ramazani because competition breeds success. Marcelo used to believe that in abundance. That's why I wanted 2 players for every position. Ramazani starts for me all day, but Manos Solomon has given himself an absolute throw in there because I thought he was good tonight, really good. Byram, did he come off in the 58th minute with an injury? Potentially. I do want to also speak on, I have to speak on Verba. I thought when he came on, this won't get mentioned a lot. I thought Verba was excellent. I thought if you look at the amount of times that they were pressing, 'cause they were trying to get a little bit forward and hurt us, try press on. They had nothing else really to play for. I thought when they were pressing on Verber a little bit, there was a couple of passes through the legs, there was a couple of shoulder barges, there was a couple of individual battles won. I thought Verber was really good tonight. And it was good to see him because they had the cup competition against Borough where he was embarrassed and humiliated at centre back. Although I thought that was overblown a little bit, but look, I get why he's the scapegoat. The whole team was crap that night. But he played at left back there. I thought he was competent on the ball. I thought he was composed and he was offering an overlap. He was offering an overlap. And there's a couple of times where he actually got on the overlap and was whipping the ball in. And it just needed someone just in front of the front man to put the ball in the back of the net. But I thought Verber's levels were really good when he came on. Guy Lavogui, when he came on, was composed, didn't give the ball away. And you kind of get into a point of which now you're thinking, so that's your depth then. And we always know throughout a championship season there's going to be injuries, there's going to be discrepancies, there's going to be problems, there's going to be international breaks. But we've now not got an international break for 5 months. This is something really key to look out for. We've not got an international break until March. The problem, in my opinion, as to why the fan base and as to why Leeds United haven't been able to get that level of consistency is because of the international breaks. I think the breaks overall have really hurt us because we've almost got into the swing of things and then we've been stunted a little bit. We've not been able to right the wrongs of your Burnleys and your Millwalls consistently. And these international breaks have killed us, and it's taken us a little bit of time to get back into it. We know Leeds, when we come back from the international break, naturally aren't great, but we've had to do it about 3 or 4 times already. I think now with a 5-month period of which we can really get into the rhythm. I think when we get to that international break in February, March, we're going to be thinking to ourselves, okay, this break's going to be good for Leeds United. But right now, the level tonight, I called for a 5-star Sheffield United performance tonight. I think that was better. I think what Luton are going to do is I think they're going to sack Rob Edwards. It could even be sacked tonight, which would be definitely advisory because I think that level of player, a lot of them that were still with them when they went up, but I think a lot of that level of player of which they've still invested in, as a Premier League side. I know it's not been grand, but they've still invested in as a Premier League side. And one of the surprise packages last year, they didn't get mullered at all, really, in the Premier League. Did they get a slapping? Maybe once or twice. But what we've done to a lot of players there who were still in there from the Premier League, Jacob Brown, DeBayo, Carlton Morris, Clark, Bell, Mengi, Chong. The list goes on. Kaminsky. A lot of that team, in fact, nigh on all of that team were in the Premier League last year. So I know right now the form isn't great, but we're only in November. That team sacks the manager. They're 8 points off the playoff. They'll bring in Stevie Cooper. They'll do something like that. And then Stevie Cooper will get them into the playoffs. So that win is going to look extremely good, in my opinion, maybe at February, March. So we've got this period of time now where Leeds can really drill down, start to get some points on the board, and start looking good. I was worried about tonight. I was really, really. Oh, Chris, look, mate. I mean, I'm not a massive fan. I understand. I'm not a massive. I'm not saying Daniel Farker is the best thing since sliced bread. But come on, hold on a sec, guys. I'm just going to share this to Twitter. I don't think it's shared for whatever reason. I don't know why. That's annoying. But don't know why. Don't know why that's not happened. But there we go. Okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry about this. This was supposed to be on Twitter. So yeah, there we go. seeing my face. But yeah, still can't remove it. Bloody hell, what is going on? Twitter's having a meltdown. Has Twitter gone down or something like that? I'm not really sure what's gone on. But yeah, I look, Chris, I know I think, as I mentioned at the start, mate, I think, look, Daniel Farker can be criticised a little bit for his management of certain aspects. He can be criticised for a few things, can't he? But look, tonight we've put in a performance of which you've got to be proud of, mate. We're top of the table, Chris. We can constructively criticise, which I do, but I'm very happy when my team win as well. Um, and I don't think you can be disappointed after tonight, mate. I mean, what else do you want? That really is negative and pessimistic, isn't it, mate? It's a top performance tonight. And from my perspective, I get that football's subjective. But yeah, mate, I feel you being extremely harsh there. But yeah, look, when you can build something right now, can't you? You know, you look at Leeds United and you think to yourself, well, we're a side that's top of the division. I think it's important that we're top by January. I have to say this because I think if you're top by January, you know, teams look at you and they think, oh, I'd like to join them. You know, I've mentioned before you James McAtees. I've mentioned before, you know, the lad from Dresden, the centre forward Hidberg. I've mentioned, of course, you know, Billing. I've mentioned, of course, Brooks. I think all these players, I have to say, have a higher technical level than Brendan Aronson. And they run as well, you know. Billing maybe not as much because obviously of the injury record, but Brooks is a big runner and a very technical player in there. You know, you've got to look at some of these players. Carvalho, another one. Shout out to Joe Keane and Richard Walker as well, guys. Thank you so much for your donations as well. Everybody in general, really appreciate that. But what I will say is you know, there is a level of which Leeds United are at right now, which may not need a central attacking midfielder. Maybe we've got enough in the creation department, and this is very reactionary after what we've just seen. But I have to say this, you know, do Leeds have enough in every other department to almost eradicate any need for a central attacking midfielder? I don't think so, because I think there's going to be points in which the season you need that elevated quality, and there's going to be a low block of which you need maybe a Fabio Carvalho to get the ball out of his feet and rocket it in the top corner. And you've seen that over the years with some of the central attacking midfielders at this level, Elias Scher, Buendia, Pablo Hernandez, etc. And I love Brendan Aronson, but I do wonder, would I replace Brendan Aronson's energy with someone with a technical capability who can win Leeds games out of nothing? I think I probably would, because I think we've got enough press. I think we've got enough energy and endeavour in the squad anyway. I think that's been elevated with Ramazani. I think he's a fantastic defensive winger. Dan James is unequivocally probably the best defensive winger we've got. Nonso's upped his game in that department as well. Matteo Joseph, we all know how pressy he is. So I think Leeds have got enough pressing effectiveness to be able to maybe, and this is very harsh, but to maybe replace Aronson. And that is my only discrepancy right now. And I just think it breeds down to consistency. But tonight is shout out to you, Lofts, top man, Rothwell and Ramazani, better tens than Brendan. I think you're probably right there, mate. But overall, I think it's been a wonderful night for Leeds United, a 5-star performance, and the performance of the season for me. Okay, let's have a look at some of your Chris. With all due respect, what's your problem? Shout out to Chris. I know he's a member. Shezzy says was worried about tonight, but then again, I worry about most games, especially after the years I've seen Wigan and Blackburn at home. Yeah, mate, I'd probably agree with you there. Ollie's coming in with the fishing rod. I genuinely believe that, mate. I genuinely believe that my man Chris Kingy wants Farker out no matter what. I don't even think it's a fishing rod, my friend. This guy's consistent. Aragorn says you take Edwards over Farker, so you want to be fighting relegation. Then, yeah. I don't. You're not getting many fans in here, Chris lad. Loving the watch alongs, Connor. Great technical knowledge and commentary. Love the channel, mate. Thank you so much, Simon. Most of them are okay when they're on it. Consistency is key for all of them. I think you're right, mate. And I think, as I've said, the beautiful thing about what we're now getting is, the funny thing is, we put a performance in like that with Byram and Solomon on that left-hand side, and Ramazani has come on for about 8 minutes and has already got me more excited than my girlfriend gets me. Do you know what I mean? This is what's happening right now with Ramazani. With me, I just love that man so much, and I just think he's just. I said at the start of the watch along that him and Tanaka, if Ramazani stays fit, him and Tanaka are going to be the best players in this division. I don't care if Vinny Sousa's there. I don't care if Callum O'Hare's there. I couldn't care less if, you know, Raksaki's there, whatever, or, you know, the Sunderland boys. I know they've got a fair few decent players, Mundell or whatever, or Koleosho. I'm telling you, Ramazani and Tanaka are going to be the best players in this division by the end of the season if Ramazani stays fit. Ramazani comes straight in. And Firpo comes straight in as an attacking left back. And that's with what we've just seen tonight against a promotion contender. I think Luton are going to be in the playoffs. I think there's an argument they'll win the playoffs, and they've got a good enough squad. I also think you're going to get, as I've just mentioned, a Stevie Cooper, another manager coming in and heightening their level. I think that's going to happen. They're 8 points off the playoffs. They're going to end up there. And as I've said previously, we're going to look back at this and think that's a proper win. That big thing as well. What we've not touched on, people, clean sheet. Clean sheet. Now that performance was that good. I'm going to go to bed tonight, and I'm not sure I will be able to keep a clean sheet. But Leeds United, smuts, unsubscribe, disgraceful, absolute smut, and I'm sorry. There's children watching this, disgraceful. But listen, it's a clean sheet, and it was unequivocally needed after conceding 3 goals against the Swansea City side that barely score any goals. Leeds have come back. We've responded to a performance of which we've won the game at Swansea. But I have to say, I'm not happy. I wasn't happy with that performance at Swansea. I think Leeds were too open. I think our standards were lower, and we let them get into the game too much. Leeds controlled that game. We bullied Luton in every department tonight. They tried to physically impose themselves on set pieces. They tried to physically impose themselves in the individual duels. They brought on 150 subs at the end. Nothing changed. The game was in Leeds' hand. The playing style was very good. The control aspect was excellent. And this is the whole thing, everybody. This is the whole thing. And what I want you guys to listen to, and I'm sure you know anyway, the beautiful thing about all of this is that Leeds United have 2 midfielders in Rothwell and Tanaka, and our starting 2 midfielders are injured. They're injured. We have Ampadu to come back. We have Ramazani to start games. I'm going to be gutted. I'm going to be gutted when Joe Rothwell leaves this team. And let me point to a certain area of which Leeds scored from tonight, a set piece. Joe Rothwell's set pieces are, I think, as a Leeds United fan who's watched us in the Championship, I'm 31 years of age. I can't remember balls in being that good by any set piece taker. I think his balls into the box from free kicks, he put a flat line one on the penalty spot. Stroud started to get a touch and it was in. They are quick. They've got whip on them. They've got height on them. It can be front post. It can be near post. The trajectory of them is perfect for any sort of header. Joe Rodon, if you want to turn up for a corner at any point, mate, that'd be fantastic. But Joe Rothwell is staggeringly good from set pieces. Now, that is something that Ampadu isn't that great at, but Ampadu has levels to his game. We all know that. The Ampadu-Tanaka combination is going to be euphoric. But do not sleep on Joe Rothwell and what he's done, because I'm expecting Ampadu to be back probably in the next 6 to 8 weeks, to be honest with you. And it's going to be really, really upsetting to me to see Rothwell go out of this side. And tonight was another example of how good he is. You give him time, which I don't think Southampton did. The only criticism I'd have towards him is he got 4 goals in 16 for Southampton. Joe, I want to see you scoring for Leeds United, mate. I need to see you contributing, but it's a very different role to what he had at Southampton to what he now has at Leeds United. At points, he'd be playing in an attacking midfield. He'd be playing in the number 10 for Southampton when he'd be coming onto the field. He doesn't do that for Leeds United. He's a base sitter, but he's running with the ball, his levels, his consistency, and I think it's always overshadowed by this little genius. But Joe Rothwell has coped with probably being the 4th choice midfielder, according to a lot of Leeds fans. I'm so happy, I have to say, and I stuck with him. I stuck with him from the start. I said he was a better player. I said it from day one than Gruev. Said he was a better player, better all-rounder. And the fact that we probably have now Ampadu, Rothwell, and Tanaka fighting for that spot is only going to increase Ampadu's levels, because Ampadu's going to think, shit, this boy's good. And he does, let's be honest, he doesn't deserve to be dropped. He shouldn't be dropped because his levels are so good. His ratings are so good. His percentages are so good. When do you ever see Joe Rothwell losing the ball? Doesn't. And how many times have you seen, do you remember at the start when everybody would tell you, or maybe you were one of them saying it, oh, Gruev plays long balls. Ampadu plays loads of long balls. No, they didn't. And these two being together in Tanaka and Rothwell has shown you that they didn't, because these two play long balls. These two activate the front line to go forward, which gets Leeds up the pitch, gets Leeds winning the second balls or the first balls. These two are not only defensive players, of which they have the same numbers, the same output, by the way, as Gruev and Ampadu, but going forward, they have greater numbers. They have greater chance creation. If you actually look at Leeds United tonight, Aronson is almost a shadow figure to Tanaka and Rothwell. Tanaka and Rothwell are actually a lot of the ones creating the chances, popping the ball over the top, popping the ball just in the side for the winger. These two are so good together and they've got a proper partnership. So for all those who are saying Ampadu immediately comes back in, I actually get narked off by that. I get narked off by seeing stuff that Brownhill's an upgrade on Rothwell. What a load of bollocks that is. Why is he an upgrade on Rothwell? I like Brownhill. I wanted Leeds to go and get Brownhill a number of times as depth or just been an industrious player in there. Is he better than Rothwell? No. And I just think that there's a lot of disrespect on this guy's name. A lot of disrespect on this guy's name. He's been phenomenal for Leeds United. And yeah, again, another top performance, another top performance for him tonight. Chris has said Rothwell is as good as Ampadu, but people won't admit it. Tanaka is on another level. Our squad depth is lovely. It is, mate. It is. Back of the net. When is Brownie coming on? You tell me, mate. You tell me. They were better tonight, Connor, but have not always been good. I tell you what, Mark, if you're on about Tanaka and Rothwell, mate, I don't know what perform. Look, Swansea, maybe they weren't great, but here's a question. When have we lost the midfield battle when those two have been in there? Let me know in the comment section. If you disagree, which is fine, football's subjective, let me know when they've lost the midfield battle. That's what I'm interested to know, because I can't remember. Swansea, did they lose the midfield battle? I don't think they did. Even though Leeds were quite poor. But I think ultimately we ran it, the game. We were just quite poor in different phases and lacked a bit of concentration. Did we lose the midfield battle? I don't think so. I think every single game is dictated by Tanaka and Rothwell. And that is a huge, huge thick point. Leeds 10 clean sheets out of 17. Great stuff, mate. Great stuff. Injury suspensions, players inconsistent, and Farquhar's top. He does, mate. I disagree. I think Luton have overperformed in their recent seasons, but they will be tougher at their place. Stephen, there's an argument back there. Connor, do we need another keeper? Still, we do, mate. We do. We do. We do. I struggle to see how Gruev starts now when he's fit. I think Rothwell could play the 10. No, yeah. Gruev's not even. And with the greatest of respect, he's I don't think he should be in contention anymore. Rothwell's not our player, and this is not being too harsh on Gruev, but Gruev, as I mentioned, is a very limited football player. I didn't mind Gruev, but he also used to wind me up more than anything, because it was very easy for Gruev to get through a game, in my opinion. It was safety on, handbrake on, pass the ball back to Rodon, and Stroud can occasionally play a long ball, of which the fan base used to absolutely lap up and say he used to do it every single game, when the stats would say that he never would do that every single game. I don't mind Gruev, but he is the fourth when it comes to ability out of our midfield. But it's a positive thing. That's a positive thing. Positive thing. Fantastic performance from the boys tonight. Agree, mate. If we're smart, we should pick a team with a view to how the other team plays. Definitely. Helvetti says, I think we need level heads. We want to get out of this division, but we don't want to spunk our money on medium level Premier League players. And that's the thing, mate. That's the thing. We need to be looking as well at the fact that Leeds United need to be looking at that Premier League venture, don't they? They need to be looking not only at what's going on right now, but if you're bringing a player in, you've got to be bringing a player in for the look ahead to the Premier League. That's why they brought Schmidt in. We saw Schmidt come on. We saw him get an assist, and we thought, oh, he's a good player. He's a good player. Gilovoggi, he will be thinking if he performs, he gets himself a Premier League contract, and he's there as depth. He'll be thinking that. Tanaka comes in with a view to the Premier League, of course. I guess the question is, would Tanaka and Rothwell would they have even come in if Gruev and Ampadu wouldn't have got injured? That's the question, because we know Farke like that consolidation as a midfield base. Oh my God, the Tanaka Zilla hoodie and merch. I need that in my life. Yeah, mate, go check it out. There's Tanaka stuff everywhere. It's fantastic, the merchandise we've linked up with. The thing is, like, I've done it with him as well. I've done it with Gav. We've designed it together, so it's well worth having a look, guys. Okay, so that's been 40 minutes of me waffling on. If you'd like to catch me tomorrow morning on another live, we will be live, and we'll be talking the rumours. We'll be talking about Leeds United's performance tonight, and we'll be reflecting on a few things as well. We might even do 3 things tomorrow morning, everybody. If you'd like that, slap a like on the video. If you're here on the YouTube, thank you so much. Hope you've enjoyed, everybody, the performance of the season for Leeds United. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Check out the merch, link in the description below. We've got Patreon exclusive bits as well. We're heading on over there now. It's been an absolute pleasure, everybody. Leeds United 3, Luton 0. Wow, not bad, eh?